And the skies over Israel exploding again, missiles roaring in from Iran as air defense batteries scramble to intercept. After days of intense US and Israeli strikes on Iranian military targets, Tehran has launched one of its most aggressive retaliatory barrages yet.
Sirens erupt across cities. Residents rush for shelters. And seconds later, the sky lights up. Missiles streak towards Tel Aviv and Jerusalem as Iranian forces unleash another wave of attacks. Interceptors launch rapidly, trying to break the incoming barrage before it reaches the ground. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps claims to have launched the Khorramshahr missile, which can carry about 2 tons of explosives and has a range of about 3,000 kilometers. The IRGC claims that the missile was used to target the Ben Gurion airport. Israel, on the other hand, has accused Iran of using cluster munitions. These are a form of air-dropped or ground-launched explosive weapons that eject numerous smaller submunitions. These weapons have military value because it can cause damage in a wider area. The battle in the sky has now become a relentless exchange. Iran launches missiles and drones. Israel fires interceptors and responds with airstrikes deep inside Iranian territory. Each round pushes the conflict further for civilians across the region. The warning signs are becoming a daily reality as both sides intensify their operations. The skies over West Asia are turning into one of the most heavily contested battle zones in the world all over again. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
The United States is preparing for a longer and potentially deadlier conflict with Iran. As the war enters a new phase, the Pentagon is rushing to rebuild its missile stockpiles, secure billions in new funding, and push defense contractors to rapidly scale up the weapons production. The urgency comes after just days of intense military action in the region. Now, that's already burned through some of America's most advanced and expensive munitions. Pentagon officials are now drawing up plans to replenish missiles used in the conflict, including Patriot interceptors, Tomahawk cruise missiles, and THAAD air defense systems, all of which have been deployed heavily since the war started. And the price tag is staggering. Analysts estimating that in just the first 4 days of the operation, the US military campaign against Iran may have cost close to $11 billion. That figure includes nearly $5.7 billion in missile interceptors used to shoot down Iranian ballistic missiles and drones, another $3.4 billion in bombs and strike missiles fired by US forces. And that does not even include the cost of troops, training, or the massive deployment of more than a dozen warships and over 100 aircraft positioned across the region. As a result of this, critical American stockpiles are now under pressure. The Pentagon is expected to ask the Congress for new emergency funding to replenish these weapons, even as defense officials struggle with a war that has no clear end date. The challenge, compounded by an industrial base that was already stretched, not just by current conflicts, but by preparations for future threats, particularly from China. Remember, President Trump responded by calling for a massive expansion of defense spending. The president proposed a defense budget of $1.5 trillion, which is around $500 billion more than the current levels. He is also pressuring defense giants like Lockheed Martin and Boeing, reportedly, to triple or even quadruple the production of advanced missiles. The White House insisting the U.S. military still has more than enough weapons to achieve its objectives in the West Asia war. But even President Trump has acknowledged that some of those sophisticated hardware are in extremely high demand. And the battlefield is only adding to that pressure. Iran has been launching ballistic missiles and drones across the region. It has fired thousands of projectiles since the war started. In fact, the UAE alone says 189 ballistic missiles have been fired towards its territory during the conflict. Western officials say Iran's strategy appears deliberate. Instead of firing massive barrages, Iran has been launching missiles at a slow but steady pace. And Israel calls this tactic of Tehran a drizzle strategy. The aim basically is to force Israel and its allies to continuously fire expensive interceptors, and this will drain the defense systems of its adversaries over time. In fact, analysts are saying Iran has used this strategy before. During last year's brief war with Israel and the US, Tehran, remember, held back some of its most advanced missiles until late in the conflict, waiting for Israel's defense stockpiles to thin out. On February 28, the tensions in the region dramatically shot up after the assassination of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The strike was carried out during coordinated Israeli and US military operations targeting senior Iranian leadership and strategic facilities across the country. The supreme leader had spent much of the previous weeks sheltering deep underground amid fears of Israeli strikes, had surfaced to attend a high-level meeting. Within hours, US and Israel announced his death. The weapon that brought Khamenei's death wasn't a conventional weapon. It was a deadly missile that was launched from an Israeli fighter jet. The missile climbed rapidly through the sky towards the edge of space in the outer atmosphere before making a U-turn and making a sharp plunge back towards Earth. The impact was so huge when it hit the compound where Iran's top political and military leadership had gathered that most of them died immediately. The weapon believed to have been used in the strike, the Blue Sparrow, is an advanced air-launched ballistic missile developed by Israel. And according to reports, it is about 6.5 meters long, weighs around 1900 kgs before launch. It is powered by a single-stage solid fuel booster. The Blue Sparrow is part of a broader family of missiles that also includes the Black Sparrow and Silver Sparrow, systems originally designed to simulate Soviet missiles for air defense testing. These are the images of the moment when Khamenei's underground military bunker located under Iran's leadership complex in Tehran was hit. The IDF released the footage and claimed 50 Air Force fighter jets dismantled the underground bunker that was intended to serve as a command center for the leader. The bunker was a secure emergency asset for managing the war by the leader, who was killed before he managed to even use it. The IDF claims, in fact, the underground bunker sprawled across entire streets in the heart of Tehran and included multiple entry points and rooms 4 gatherings of the senior officials of the Iranian regime. Israel claims the compound was hit following the collection of intelligence and prolonged thorough research.